messages for the Florida House of Representatives.
There's evil in this world, and we face it here today.
Being left on laundry. A second case of mistaken identity.
He pulled out a gun, and then he just started shooting at all of us.
This time, 2 cheerleaders are shot. And back-to-back playoff games. From the Heat and the Panthers. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Good morning, South Florida. I'm Julian Davis.
I'm Lan Abutarbush. Today is Thursday, April 20th, 2023.
Live from the South Florida Media Network's Biscayne-based studios in North Miami, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
Silence at schools. A move by the State Board of Education bans discussions of sexual orientation and gender from K through 12 classrooms. Florida Board of Education expands ban on discussing sexual orientation and gender identity to students up until 12th grade on Wednesday.
The move follows a previous ban for kindergarten through 3rd grade. The board states that discussions will only be allowed if required by state academic standards or as part of an opt-in health or reproductive health class.
Sexuality, gender identity, that's a discussion that needs to be happening from an early age. It's a fact of life. It's part of being a student. It's part of being a person. So banning that discussion all the way through 12th grade will cause so many problems.
The decision is raising concerns about its impact on LGBTQ+ students' ability to receive an inclusive education. Challenges to the ban are expected in court, while others call for more support for LGBTQ+ youth in Florida's educational system. The long-term effects remain uncertain.
Bills at the state capitol also targets the LGBTQ community, one of which inspired protesters to throw underwear with messages written on them onto the floor of the House of Representatives. Here is reporter Savannah Kelly from WCTV in Tallahassee.
The bill getting the most attention would ban gender-affirming care for minors. This means no surgeries, no hormone therapy, and no puberty blockers until a person is 18 years old. Doctors who ignore this rule could face a 3rd-degree felony charge. The legislation has been met with strong criticism from Democrats and LGBTQ advocates. Tuesday, we saw protests as lawmakers debated the bill. At one point, protesters threw underwear down onto the House floor at lawmakers. Protesters had written messages on the underwear saying, "Not your business," and "Leave my genitals alone." Republicans argue the bill protects children from unsafe medical procedures.
There's evil in this world, and we face it here today. CS for SB 254 would make it illegal to do certain medical treatments on children that have the result of amputating perfectly good body parts.
In my opinion, this bill is unkind and it's inhumane. And I need to remind everybody as we go forward, we're talking about human beings. The words evil, the words demons, these are people that other people love.
More than a dozen amendments to this bill were rejected on Tuesday. These amendments were filed by Democrats in an attempt to soften the bill's impact. Legislators discussed 2 other high-profile bills on Tuesday. One would ban transgender people from using a bathroom that doesn't line up with their assigned sex at birth. Another bill aims to prevent children from attending performances that include sexual content. Democrats argue it's intended to suppress drag shows. We will continue to follow these bills as they move through the legislature, but for now, reporting at the Capitol, Savannah Kelly, WCTV Eyewitness News.
With the clock ticking toward today's early morning deadline, the U.S. Supreme Court makes a move on abortion pill restrictions. As CNN's Emily Schmidt reports, the High Court decided to extend access to an abortion drug, but only for a couple of days.
The top line from the U.S. Supreme Court Wednesday is clear. Access to a key abortion drug is still in place. Bottom line, more uncertainty. Justice Samuel Alito reset the court's decision clock to 11:59 p.m. Friday, a ruling that moved to suspend the Food and Drug Administration's approval of the abortion drug mifepristone.
The U.S. Supreme Court today needs to make it clear that any decision to limit access to vital medication, such as mifepristone, will be based on science, and it will be based on an FDA decision.
We're going to continue to fight. We've been very clear about that.
The Biden administration's Justice Department submitted filings opposing the Trump-appointed Texas judge's ruling, telling the Supreme Court changes would deny lawful access to a drug the FDA deemed a safe and effective alternative to invasive surgical abortion, a finding shared by the medical community as a whole.
We don't want a Texas judge in our bedrooms telling us what to do.
At least one Republican also fears the possibility of wider consequences.
To come back in, I think, a very political way and undermine your drug regulatory agency, I've got concerns about that.
If the Texas ruling is allowed to take effect, it would impact states where abortion is banned and where it is legal. In Washington, I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
For at least the third time in a week, apparent human error has been met with gunfire in the U.S. The latest case out of Texas near Houston, as CNN's Laura Aguirre reports, 2 cheerleaders got shot after one of them got into the wrong car after practice.
I'm Peyton Washington on Woodlands Elite Generals.
Peyton Washington, one of 2 Texas cheerleaders shot after a wrong car mix-up Tuesday. Arrested and charged is this man, 25-year-old Pedro Rodriguez Jr. Police say Rodriguez allegedly fired at the girls after Washington's teammate accidentally got into his vehicle at a carpool drop-off, thinking it was her own. That teammate, Heather Roth, was slightly wounded. Washington was critically injured and airlifted to a hospital.
I was trying to apologize to him, and then I just, halfway my window was down, he just threw his hands up, and then he pulled out a gun, and then he just started shooting at all of us.
The managing director of the girls' cheer team says that Washington is a fighter, rising to the top of her sport despite being born with one lung.
She's a mentor and a role model to so many kids in this industry. She's an amazing athlete, amazing kid.
In Kansas City, 84-year-old Andrew Lester pleaded not guilty to felony charges Wednesday afternoon, accused of shooting 16-year-old Ralph Yarl last week when the teen came to Lester's home by mistake. A probable cause statement reveals Lester told police he was scared to death of Yarl when he fired his gun.
This should be a federal hate crime, at least investigation. I believe that it merits federal hate crime charges and a conviction.
Yarl is recovering from gunshots in the head and arm. Attorney Lee Merritt sharing this picture on Instagram Wednesday, referring to Yarl as a walking miracle. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Cuba re-elects Miguel Diaz-Canel as president on Wednesday. Miguel Diaz-Canel won his second presidential term given the votes from the Cuban National Assembly. With an expected victory, Diaz-Canel received 459 votes out of the 470 members of the Assembly. He replaced Raul Castro as president in 2013 and was the first secretary of the Cuban Communist Party in 2018. Diaz-Canel is the first Cuban to not be named Castro and win 2 powerful titles.
Turning to sports, the Miami Heat are coming home to try and take back the series lead after they lost to the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round of the playoffs. After Miami made an unexpected win against the #1 seed, the momentum was high for the Heat, but it felt as if they immediately lost it as the game began. The Heat played without their star shooting guard, Tyler Hero, due to broken hand, and the Bucks played without their star forward, Giannis Antetokounmpo, due to a lower back injury. It seems like the Bucks were nearly perfect when shooting 3-pointers, and the Heat just couldn't come back from it. The final score of the game was Heat 122, Bucks 138. The playoff series will come home to Miami for the next 2 games starting at Saturday at 7:30 p.m.
But in good news, the Panthers were able to split their playoff series against the Boston Bruins in Game 2 with a dominant win. After a close first game loss, the Cats were looking a little rusty, but after getting rid of some playoff jitters and the return of Panthers center Sam Bennett, the Cats looked unstoppable on the ice versus the #1 seed. The final score of the game was Panthers 6, Bruins 3. The playoffs for the Stanley Cup are also coming to South Florida for the next 2 games of the series, starting tomorrow at 7:30.
More sports ahead, including the Marlins, who had some unfinished business before heading out for a week-long road trip.
That's still ahead, and so is this story.
People might say that coming back to play might not be the best option.
After he had his hard stop on the football field, Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin is going somewhere unexpected. Back to practice. Stick around, we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together,
we should still make an effort.
To
get to know each other
on a deeper level. Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor.
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Back on the field, NFL player Damar Hamlin has been taking part in voluntary off-season workouts this week at the Buffalo Bills facility in upstate New York. Damar was cleared to come back to football after he had a cardiac arrest during a game in January.
CNN Mandy Gaither has more on why doctors feel it's safe for Hamlin to return.
Nearly 4 months after collapsing on the field, Damar Hamlin is back to playing ball.
I died on national TV in front of the whole world.
In January, after appearing to be hit with a helmet in his chest while making a tackle, the Buffalo Bills safety says he went into cardiac arrest caused by commotio cordis. That's when severe trauma disrupts the heart's electrical charge and causes dangerous fibrillations.
Some people might say that coming back to play might not be the best option. But that's their opinion, and like I said, I've been beating statistics my whole life, so I like my chances here.
It's not a surprise that he's being allowed to play again.
Health experts say since this happened, Hamlin has likely undergone numerous heart tests.
They basically said his heart function is back to normal and that he doesn't have an underlying problem, an anatomical problem with his heart or an electrical problem, for example.
Because commotio cordis is rare and Hamlin's heart has no underlying issues, it's unlikely that he'll have problems again. That's why he was cleared to play.
If you've had a concussion, there's plenty of evidence now to suggest you are more likely to have a second concussion. We can't really say that with commotio cordis. So his chance of having this is the same as the general population.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The Miami Marlins were looking to sweep the San Francisco Giants yesterday, but unfortunately they couldn't make it happen. The Fish have been looking good taking the last 3 series they've played, but there seems to be a pattern. The Marlins will win a series but have to lose 1 game. Regardless, the Fish played hard to the end, taking the game into 2 extra innings, and unfortunately that's where the Marlins gave in. The final score was Giants 5, Marlins 2. The Marlins are headed to Ohio to play the Cleveland Guardians tomorrow at 7:20. You're watching SFMN Newsbreak, and we're coming right back.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know. That's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
There are a lot of ways to reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Bill is a family man. He invests his money wisely and provides a good life for his children. Just one problem. He often opens emails from senders he doesn't know, and his computer is not password protected. One day, Bill checked his bank account and 94% of malware attacks originate from emails. Don't be like Bill. Take your cybersecurity seriously.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Leanne Aboutarbush.
And I'm Julian Davis. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.